Hi, I'm Angela, and this is the next part of my sustainability journey. This is what I really do in real life. It's not like an experiment or anything, so there will be mistakes and things that don't turn out quite right, things like that. On the 1st of January, if you look down here, I sowed some cut and come again lettuce seeds. 2 weeks later, I've sown some more. So even though it's the middle of winter, you can still grow little shoots and things to add little bit of vitamins and minerals to your diet. This one I'm going to do in about a week and a half's time. Then I should have a 2-week succession of cut and come cane lettuce. To be fair, it's probably only enough for a sandwich, but effort made, and I can re-sow again once that's been used. And that has a nice little lid on it that I've tied together, look, with these bows. This is a chicken dish, and that's a mushroom pot, and that's from a previous video when I made that. Also, my husband had a pair of jeans that, there we are, that I got him to wear on his motorbike. They've got a bit of a loose fit because of straddling the motorbike, but he didn't like them very much and they weren't a particularly good fit for him. So I've rescued them. They're a little bit long, so I've actually hemmed them here. I've sewn them up like that all the way around, and then I just tuck them underneath, so I've still got that look of the hem. So they're just the right length for me now, and a nice comfortable fit, especially for bending and stretching up the allotment. We've bought some garden netting recently, and this is for protecting crops in the winter. See, garden netting. What I plan to do with this is, it's got a little plastic clippy-do thing in it. I'm going to fill it with monkey nuts, and I'm going to reassemble it. And that goes over the top. So complete with a little hanger. I'm going to use that as a bird feeder. I can hang it up on my shed up the allotment, or I could even hang it on a branch on a tree, or a twig, a small branch that's got a hole in. I could make a loop if I wanted to hang over a bigger branch. I've got 2 of those, so I'm going to get some monkey nuts and make bird feeders with those 2 garden net bags. They're nylon, so they should last pretty well. Certainly through the winter, and it's January now, so it's quite a good idea to try and help the birds out if you can. The next thing is a wallet that I haven't made. My husband has made this. He made it because the zip on his original wallet broke. He then got one at a charity shop and the zip did work, but it was such bad condition it near enough turned to dust, but the zip still worked. So he took the zip out from the charity shop one, wove a pocket here out of hemp. He copied the design of his old wallet to try and get it to fit and to, you know, fit in his pocket, things like that, things that men like. As you see, he's got a section here at the back, a section for cards, and a little section for coins. That's what it looks like. And he wove this from using a piece of cardboard and just weaving the warp and the weft up and down the cardboard, cutting little notches at the top to wind the wool round, the hemp round. And he did it as neat and tight as he could. And I'm very proud of him. I think that's very good, very practical. It's his first time at weaving as well. So, you know, don't be afraid to have a go at something. If you don't think it's going to work out, it doesn't matter. Because if you need it, then it's worth giving it your best shot. Again, that's quite a good, he's had this probably about 6 months. So, you know, it's really good and it's functional when he's actually using it. There's also a local group who are interested in recycling and ways of being more sustainable. It's called Transition Southampton. It's sorts of things like talks, local problems, repair cafes where you can take things along and ask for advice about how to repair something or maybe help in getting it repaired. ways of using out-of-date food, as a water bottle reuse scheme. And for information from my local one, which is Southampton in England, there's an email address of info@transitionsouthampton.org, and that will come up at the bottom of the screen. There's lots of really interesting things going on there in the local community, so it's good to get involved and to find out other people, what they're doing to be sustainable, and other groups. So always support your local community, because that'll affect you as well, and that'll be something that you can do, something you can walk to and attend that's local to you. I'm looking through my pile of things here. This scarf belonged to my youngest daughter when she was at school. She's 25 now, and I've reused it, and I've knitted a pocket on there with put some buttons on. And the reason why I did that is when I wear this scarf, if I fold it in half like this and tuck it round like that, I can actually put my mobile phone in this pocket and I can hear it. So if it's down inside a coat, especially if it's a warm coat, or in your pocket, you won't be able to hear your phone. So I've made a little pocket to put my mobile phone in, or any money or anything else I want to carry. Also, this is a hat come snood. It actually, you can just bear with me, it can go right over your head and act like a scarf around your neck. I bought this probably about 10 years ago. It was from an ethical stall, I think, on a market stall, from Aztecs and Peruvian people that have come over to sell their wares. See, it goes like that, and that ends up as a collar. It's actually worn quite thin, especially in this layer here. So as you can see, I've over sewn it quite a bit there to make it thicker, to make it warm around the head. It is actually already lined with fleece, but again, I've also made some pockets inside the hat. So when I tend to go on lots of walks and things up mountains and through forest and what have you, so again I could put my phone or some money or anything that I wanted to carry, packet tissues, things like that, in my hat so I can travel light. I've got some interesting stories about going up the Brecon Beacons with a hat on, looking everywhere for my gloves. My hands were freezing. My husband very kindly lent me his gloves, which I wore all the time, and his hands were cold, only to discover when I got back down to the youth hostel that my gloves were inside my hat, and all the photographs of me wearing a hat that was very tall with the thick gloves were actually inside the hat. In this hat, and I've also knitted these flaps for ear flaps as well, to keep my ears warm and to tie it on as well. I tried to use a matching colour so that it wouldn't look too awful. I'm not famous for worrying too much about what I look like, but this is what it like on. I'll pop it on for you. You can still wear it as a scarf, though the ear flaps will probably be in the way a bit. So this is my hat on. As you can see, the ear flaps make it extra warm. I can tie it so it doesn't fall off. When I'm up the allotment particularly, I'll lean forward, because my hair's quite slippery, my hats often come off, so it's quite nice to have this tied on. Going down to other things, as it's January now and I'm talking about winter items. I made these fingerless gloves. I like picking up rocks and shells from the beach, so my fingers usually get quite mucky from the mud and the sand and what have you, so I've got fingerless ones there. I've made them out quite a thin wool, so I've knitted another square to go on top for an extra insulation there. I've actually had to mend one of these, there we are, because I don't know what happened, but it got a hole in it, so I've done that there to make it last a bit longer. It's always best to get the best you can afford, the best quality you can afford, and repair it. Even with things like food, my mum used to say, better to have a little bit of quality food than a lot of poor quality food, so you'll stay healthier and hopefully not so heavy. I've yet to live up to that. Also, if you notice my green jumper that I'm wearing, this is one that I made I don't usually like making jumpers because you can never guarantee how they're going to fit afterwards. But this one's 100% wool. It's from a blue-faced sheep from Yorkshire Spinners. It worked out quite expensive for the wool for the jumper, about £58 I think. It's 100% wool, and you've got to be really careful with washing wool because sheep is often, the wool is waterproof. So you have to wash it very gently and carefully. I'll probably have to lay this one out on a drying area so and put it to the right shape. So it will be a faff to wash. But as I always wear a shirt or a t-shirt underneath, I'm not really going to need to wash it that often. So, and it is, I've just come back from a holiday in the Isle of Wight, 16th of January, very cold, very icy, on windy beaches, and this was lovely and warm. I was more than happy with it, and I'll give it a 10 out of 10. It's quite loose, comfortable fitting, so I can put extra layers underneath. I did have a coat on top. I can put a nice big, it's got a nice wide neck, so I can roll up a scarf and put a scarf around the neck as well. I'll take it off if I get too hot. Well, as I was saying earlier, we've just come back from holiday on the Isle of Wight, which is in the south of England. We were staying in a chalet there, and there was lots of bits of, I missed my recycling system and all my bags I've got for separating my recycling. So we brought back all the bits of plastic that we used, and I've washed them and put them on the air there to dry. Some of these things we had, we've reused a few times already. I put the malt loaf back in this bag, and we took it on a picnic on the walk along the beach. Otherwise I'm going to actually cut it up in small bits and put it in my eco bottle, along with all the other bits and pieces that we've had over the past probably about a week, I would say. So quite a lot of plastic, despite efforts to try and not buy things in plastic. I could do better in not buying apples wrapped in plastic. Otherwise, unfortunately, a lot of the other things, it's very difficult to avoid having the plastic. But work in progress. We're making the effort as best we can. I've got some other nice plastic that I can make a little greenhouse thing. Because it's January, we're going to need to start some seeds off soon. So I'm going to make that. That's a perfect fit, top and bottom. I'm going to tie it at the back there so I can make a little section like my other one. So then I shall put margarine tubs in there. It doesn't really matter what shape they are. You can put holes in the bottom of the margarine tubs, and this will catch the water in the bottom and act as a nice greenhouse. I'm hoping to put all of these outside as well, probably about March time, and then gradually take the lids off during the day, put them back at night. We've got a balcony just outside our flat. It's a small balcony, probably about 7 feet by 2.5 feet, maybe 3 feet. It's right by a busy road, but it's quite sheltered because the flat above us also has a balcony with a concrete floor. So it gives our little balcony a little bit of shelter. It's not the sunny side of the house, unfortunately, but there's street lights all through the night, so it's probably about 1 degree warmer, I guess, than it would be in the country, just because of all the street lights and the traffic going by. So hopefully that'll, you know, encourage our seedlings to grow before we take them up the allotment, which is quite an exposed site, and then hopefully they'll get used to the colder environment up there once, probably about April time, maybe May, depends on what we're growing. We'll take the seedlings up then. Otherwise, doing quite well. I'm quite pleased with myself. Sorry I haven't done YouTube videos a bit more regularly. I also work, and we've just been on holiday, so we had a really nice time there where we collected lots of rocks and fossils. And there's a very good tour guide for Yavaland on the Isle of Wight. I'll put you the link to him and his team at the bottom of the video. He was very knowledgeable. It's very good because you learn about your environment. You don't actually purchase anything, but you're supporting a local community. And Theo, his name is Theo, and his friends, very kindly, very informative about all the fossils and soil types and the rocks and the history of the area. So it's worth going, if you go to the Isle of Wight, try and take a tour, support the local economy. Very interesting, and you learn a lot about fossils, and children particularly get a chance to see dinosaur footprints and things like that, and we learnt a lot as well. Hopefully we'll go up the allotment soon to finish off the hot bin, and we've been collecting egg boxes and things like that because you have to have layers of different things in the hot bin to make it a balanced ecosystem in there so everything decomposes nicely. And hopefully if you keep watching we'll give you an update on the various projects we've started, and hopefully you'll subscribe or give us a like.